Hi guys, so just showing you how I kind of stage an attack. I'll just run this replay and kind of guide you what I'm thinking about and why I do what I do. Hopefully, obviously, this should work quite nicely. So first thing I'm thinking about is where weak spots are. There's no doubt a potential weak spot from this side. There's no mines in my way. There's certainly potential weakness from this side because I'm always thinking how can I get that war factory out of the way as soon as possible. And there's certainly on this particular base weaknesses from this side. If you notice, his bases are all lined up quite. All his buildings are kind of quite around this perimeter, which means ultimately I'm going to spawn right on his base. So my thoughts are here. The first thing I'm going to do, don't deploy all, deploy tank. Put your tanks on, let that salvo lock onto you, and then you can start hitting him by then deploying the M270s. But the salvo will only lock onto the first thing it sees. So if you deploy everything, then you know what, the salvo is going to probably pick up what you don't want it to do. It'll probably hit your howitzer, hit your M270s or your Zeus. But if you press tank first and watch what happens next, then you should see tank first, then everything else, and then that should give you the advantage that you require. So, tanks, salvo locks on, M270s. Get the salvo out of the way first. Now, if you notice, I'd already kind of provisionally scouted that this guy had Zeus in his base. Zeus don't really cause me any major problem. I've got Zeus of my own, and obviously with a bit of tank fire and the like, Zeus, as you know, aren't really going to be an issue to tank formats. They're more of an issue for light vehicles and air attacks, so shouldn't cause me any sort of problem. So again, I can probably take this out at leisure, but that was really demonstrate how the salvo can be taken out by putting tanks first, and then you can move on. I've now deployed my Zeus to take care of his Zeus and also air attack. And then I'm going to start moving the Zeus backwards, and that'll obviously bring his troops forward. But his troops will be aiming for generally my Zeus. You can see I've got rockets, anti-air rockets in the M270s, and we're basically now just going to pummel the remains of his defence. And that hasn't caused any sort of problem. So yeah, we didn't get the war factory out straight away, but it's not causing any problem. Now these are mortar men, so I'm going to take the Zeus sideways, so when obviously the mortars land, they're where I was, not where I am, and that again minimises damage. And then we can tuck those out of the way. So the next step is, clearly we need to get the rest of his salvos to lock onto the tank, so make sure we stay out of range here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drop the tank into range of that salvo, let the salvo lock onto the tank, and then you can eliminate said salvo with your M270s. We've just been caught there by a little bit of sloppiness on my part by the railgun. M270s will outrange railguns, but if you get too close they will lock on, so just pull them back, readjust. Again, I'm a little bit too close there, so I've took a hit, but we can manage that. Now always use the time at your disposal. We've got 3 minutes just under left on the clock, so we've got plenty of time. Now if you notice, I've got here good air support. Still working on the Raptors, but you know, it's a level 6 Raptors, pretty good. His air defense has been neutralized, so what I need to do is I need to distract everything that he's got, both the salvos and the machine guns. So I'm going to be carefully driving a tank straight through the middle of these mines, get these turrets all preoccupied, and then once and only once they're preoccupied, I can then send in the airstrikes and pretty much take out the remainers of the base. Just getting the tanks in position. Got a nice diagonal run so you don't catch those mines. Yeah, everything's starting to pick us up, and in they come. And then you can take them at your leisure. And again, just trying to always eke every little bit of oil you can out. So yeah, tempting to go straight in there, but obviously skirt the outsides, make sure you're not catching any of the mines, and then that should be a fairly good mop up. Probably got a few seconds of countdown on the clock before airstrikes are back up and running, so plenty of time just to start to take everything out. And that's mission accomplished. Now, because I'm in PvP, this guy's going to get us about 180 grand off himself, but then because of the level of PvP I'm at, I'm probably going to get another 80 grand bonus. That's 240,000 metal for a pretty easy kill.